Namaste, dear students. Welcome to the module number 4, Constitution of India, Professional Ethics and Cyber Law. In this present module, I'll be narrating about how engineering ethics is part of your profession. Introduction to ethics. Ethics forms an important part of every profession which guides a professional in the exercise of his services, duties, and responsibilities. There are set of principles that are widely accepted by the profession and community. Through the current topic, I shall discuss the professional ethics required to be followed and practiced by engineers in the exercise of their service to their customers, clients, employees, and the society. Overview. Engineering and technology play a vital role in transforming the way of human life and to interact. It is essential that engineers possess an acceptable level of knowledge and understanding of fundamental ethics that are applicable to their professions. Such knowledge is best imparted in the early stages of an engineer's training, and therefore, the subject of engineering ethics forms a central part of the study of engineering at the university level. Ethics or personal ethics. The origin of the word ethics lies in the ancient Greek word ethikos, which refers to something that relates to a person's character. The word ethics was used in Latin as ethica and French as ethique, with each of them have the same meaning. Ethics are the moral principles that guide the behavior of a person, distinguishing good, acceptable acts from bad and intolerable ones. There are certain ethical values that have remained static since time immemorial, such as the honesty, integrity, kindness, and gratitude. Richard William Powell and Linda Elder defines ethics as a set of concepts and principles that guide us in determining what behavior helps or harms sentient creatures. Larry Churchill states that ethics, understood as the capacity to think critically about moral values and direct our actions in terms of such values, is a generic human capacity. In simple terms, ethics is a system of moral principles that affect how people make decisions and lead their lives. So, moving on to the need of the ethics is in our profession. So let us see what is called a profession. A profession is an occupation usually performed by a trained individual with a formal qualification for which he or she earns a fee. Example: engineer, doctor, a lawyer, etc. People do go to engineer for asking for a plan, a layout. People do go to doctor for a treatment consultancy. People do go to lawyer for any grievances issues to be solved legally, and at the end of the consulting, each engineer, doctor, and lawyer, we are paying them the consultation fee. This is what we mean by profession. A profession is something where an individual performing the occupation is called a professional. A profession is an occupation that usually includes the following elements. It's a full time occupation, formal qualification must be earned, formal training must be undergone, individuals within the same professional establish a local association. Taken the example above, engineer, the person who becomes an engineer with a kind of qualification. He will be trained over subjects which later on becomes expert in the domain. Then he starts earning his livelihood using this professional activity where he earns. A larger national association regulates the professional standards and ethics. There are some bigger nations which have set up the associations which regulates the professional kind of activities. Profession require a statutory license to practice. Definitely, this is what we mean by if you want to practice your professional engineering in the society, we have to gain a license, permit from the government. Or you want to become an independent consulting doctor, you have to get the license from the statutory body. Or you want to become an advocate or a lawyer, you have to get the number as well as license from the government of India. As professionals occupy a position of advantage in society due to their expertise, it is necessary that the professional act cautiously and are guided by ethics. Thus, the ethics that regulates the services provided by such professionals called professional ethics. See, whatever we see here, every profession is safeguarded by kind of rules, set of guidelines. And if we are breach of these set guidelines, so we will be unethical to the society. That is how to have ethics in our profession, we need to know why these ethics are essential. So let us put a prefix to it, engineering. So we are learning about engineering ethics. So let us understand how the term engineering is related. The term engineering is derived from a Latin word ingenium, which means clearness or intelligence. Engineering is the branch of science that is engaged in the designing, visualizing, devising, and building of commodities of utility. The American Engineering Council for Professional Development defines engineering as the creative application of scientific principles to design or develop structures, machines, apparatus, or manufacturing process or works utilizing them singly or in combination. In simple terms, engineering is the application of science to the common purpose of life. The word engineer is derived from Latin word ingenieri, means to create, constructive or devise. An engineer is defined as a person who is trained in the design, development and use of technology connected to a specific branch of engineering. Examples: mechanical, computer science, electronics and communication, civil engineering, electrical engineering, biotechnology, etc. and so forth. While scientists study the world as it is, while create the world that has never been. An example to understand the difference between the engineer and the scientist. Think way back, centuries back, the humans are involved in construction of buildings, roads, dams. It was highly Herculean job, very tough job based on the terrain, based on the geography, based on the climatic conditions. But now we have these tasks easily accomplished by using the machineries, larger machineries like the earth movers, JCB, bulldozers, etc. So can you imagine? This is nothing but the imagination of the people who themselves called as engineers. That means we have created such a machines which was working on the principles of science, technology. That is how we say engineers are those who invent, who use imagination to create constructive devices that will help the society. Coming back to the scientist, scientists are those who are exploring things what was available earlier. They were only exploring things what were earlier available. Example: see, water is the main source for civilization. Water has made all these living creatures on the earth. But man from civilization was not knowing what is the combination of water. But scientists have explored it, that telling that water is nothing but it's a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. So this is what the difference between a scientist and an engineer. Engineer who brings up innovation and he will be devising things that will help the mankind, but scientists are exploring things which are there earlier and they will give the cause of their existence the presence. Dear students, now we can link the engineering and professionalism. See, professionalism is a concept that applies to all aspects of practice of a particular profession. Professionalism stems from commitment to the profession. If I become a doctor as my profession, then I must have a commitment to my patients. My patient may come at any time asking for a consultancy or asking for a treatment. So I must be committed to complete my profession. Also, to attain a high level of professionalism, engineers need to focus on developing their behavioral skills and knowledge regarding their area of work. It is also necessary for engineers to possess certain virtues such as public spirited virtue, the virtue of focusing on the best outcome for clients as well as the general public, proficiency virtue 2, that defines the virtue of realizing one's competency and acting diligently on performing his actions. Third one is team work virtue, the virtue of coordinating with professionals in a team to achieve collective goals. So many of the complicated activities are accomplished by using the profession as the base, working in a team. So this is how teamwork virtue plays an important role. Self-governance virtue, the virtue of maintaining one's integrity and self-respect in the course of performance of his task and assignments. So let us move on to the actual topic with this brief introduction, that is engineering ethics. Engineering ethics are the branch of professional ethics that constitutes the rules and standards that regulate the work undertaken and services provided by engineers as professionals. Engineering ethics investigates the related questions about moral ideas, characters of people and policies, relationships of people and organizations involved in technological activity. So, what is the need for this ethics in engineering? Engineering ethics are required to be learnt, unlearned, and relearned, and go by engineering professionals throughout their career. Any adverse effect on the service industry due to unethical decisions could be potentially have an impact on country's economy, population growth and employment sectors. Similarly, unethical decisions can affect various other areas of human life and have irreparable consequences. Therefore, it is essential that students of engineering learn engineering ethics at a young age so as to enable them to practice ethical engineering in their career as professional. Moving on to the engineering scope and ethics, scope of engineering ethics. Engineering ethics are to be practiced by engineers in all areas of engineering, including teaching and research. Engineers can come across several issues in their line of work, such as those related to building of a product, employer and employee relationships, society, societal activities, professional accountability, personal data privacy, finance, teaching and research, government, and environment. In all the aspects, we must have the ethics adopted. So, what are the aims of the engineering ethics? The specific aims of engineering ethics include to enumerate principles and obligations of engineering profession, to encourage ethical practice by engineers, to enhance the trust and faith held by the engineering professionals, to instill self-motivation in engineers, to deliver better products and services, to keep customers, clients and society informed about the obligation of engineers, to draw attention to ethical issues faced by the engineers, to guide engineers in decision making, to enable organization to recognize and reward ethical engineers, to strike a balance between the demands of the profession and society. Let us move on to another topic called the moral autonomy. Moral autonomy is a philosophy which enables an individual to act independently in taking moral decisions. Moral autonomy is independent of ethical values. It relates decision making capacity of an individual. The idea of moral autonomy can be found in various spheres including sociology, policies, and philosophy. Engineers must develop a following quality to improve moral autonomy: ability to identify problems and their source, ability to hear and understand arguments from multiple sides regarding an issue. So let us put a prefix to it: engineering. So we are learning about engineering ethics. So let us understand how the term engineering is related. The term, so what is the need for this ethics in engineering? Engineering ethics are required to be learnt, unlearned, and relearned, and go by engineering professionals throughout their. Kohlberg's theory says that the Kohlberg's work on moral development is based on the Jean Piaget. His theory consists of 6 stages within 3 levels. That is, pre-conventional level. Pre-conventional level, the initial level of the theory is centered around identifying the individuals as someone who learns from the environmental around him or her. At this stage, the individual does not have a personal code of morality. Authority lies beyond the control of the individual, and reasoning for actions are based on their consequences. The first stage of Kohlberg's theory is contained in this level and is called obedience and punishment orientation, where individuals act in a certain way to avoid punishment. As a result, the individual recognizes as correct the actions that does not bring punishment. The second stage is called individualism and exchange, where the individual recognizes that different right actions exist based on person's viewpoint. The individual identifies that different people have different opinions, each of whom may think that their view is right. Conventional level. Second level is the conventional. At this conventional level, the individual begins recognizing that the society, or at least a major part of it, has certain view about particular actions. These views often establish social norms that individuals recognize and comply with. Questions are seldom asked regarding the correctness of the norms. This level also consists of third stage of Kohlberg's theory called good interpersonal relationships. At this stage, the individual abides by social norms to be seen as good person by society and people around him her. The individual seeks approval of his or her actions by the society. The fourth stage, called maintaining the social order, involves individuals recognizing wider rules of society, such as those concerning law and order. The individuals abide by these rules to observe law and avoid conflict with law. Most individuals do not go past this level. And the third is post conventional level. To draw attention to ethical issues faced by the engineers, to guide engineers in decision making, to enable organization to recognize and reward ethical engineers, to strike a balance between the demands of the profession and society. Let's now move on to the other theory called Gilligan's theory. The Carl Gilligan, although a student of the Kohlberg, was also the biggest critic of Kohlberg's theory as it focused on the view of a male group without any representation of women. Gilligan's theory is also called the feminist theory of moral development. It essentially consists of three levels, namely pre-conventional level, conventional level, and post-conventional level. In the pre-conventional level, is also known as the self-oriented level, is similar to the pre-conventional level described by Kohlberg. At this level, the goal of the individual is survival, which is centered around the selfishness. However, this level also acts as the starting point for an individual to recognize his or her needs as compared to those of others. Second one, conventional level. Unlike the conventional level, Kohlberg's theory says that the Kohlberg's work on moral development is based on the Jean Piaget. His theory consists of six stages within three levels. That is pre-conventional level. Pre-conventional level, the initial level of the theory is centered around identifying the individuals as someone who learns from the environmental around him or her. At this stage, the individual does not have a personal code of morality. Authority lies beyond the control of the individual, and reasoning for actions are based on their consequences. The first stage of Kohlberg's theory is contained in this level and is called obedience and punishment orientation, where individuals act in a certain way to avoid punishment. As a result, the individual recognizes as correct the actions that does not bring punishment. The second stage is called individualism, ethics or personal ethics. The origin of the word ethics lies in the ancient Greek word ethikos, which refers to something that relates to a person's character. The word ethics was used in at this conventional level, the individual begins recognizing that the society, or at least a major part of it, has certain view about particular actions. These views often establish social norms that individuals